Hey, what's up guys? John here. Gavin Newsom just destroyed California real estate, obliterated it. It's never gonna come back. And I'm being dead serious about this. He just signed into law a new eviction moratorium, but first Joe Biden signed into law one that just takes you till the end of March. That's how long you're gonna have to wait to evict a tenant. But Gavin says, come on, Joe, end of March, that's all you got? I'm gonna extend mine till the end of June. What he's doing right now, it's intentional. He's not a dumb guy. He's intentionally setting the system up to where everybody loses everything, and California basically controls the land and controls the people. Dead serious about this. Look up SB 1079. It's a law that he signed in that took effect January 1st, 2021, that gives California first right of refusal to buy all foreclosures. So what's happening now is high-paying tenants are leaving. Rents are plummeting. I just rented 2 units in LA, dropped 35 to 40% in rental value since the pandemic. 35 to 40%, that's not a small number. That's huge. You take that across the board, you're gonna have so many landlords that just can't afford to keep up with their debt service anymore because rents dropped 35 to 40%. They were buying these buildings at a 5% cash flow. What this means, I'm gonna really simplify it and show you how to appraise their property, because some people on YouTube will take an hour to explain something that could really be explained in 3 minutes. I'm gonna do that in this video and share with you how much damage this man is doing to mom and pop landlords, to business owners, to everybody in the state of California. Business will never be the same. Nobody with half a brain is gonna come to California now and wanna open up a storefront business and sign a big lease or really do anything in California, because the politics are just going insane. But again, it's just all intentional. Gavin Newsom just wants to get more power, more control, and more dominance over the lives of all these people that he says he wants to help. He's a real sinner. He's a bad dude. So please hit that like button. When you do, you're really gonna help me share this message with more people on YouTube, and we're gonna get him out of office. We have 1.3 million signatures, and we only need 200,000 more. It's nothing. I think we can get there probably 2-3 weeks. And once we do, hopefully we get somebody in there that actually cares about landlords and business owners and realizes that the landlords and business owners fund the police departments, the school districts, the street services, the cops. Everything that you realize and benefit and gain from is funded by landlords and business owners. So without them, everything falls to pieces. So please hit that like button and share with a friend if you have a friend in California. All right, guys, let's begin. All right, so let's say you're a real estate investor in LA, or anywhere in California really, and you bought a property, and at that time, you bought it, all the rents were $2,000. Now let's say that this property here is 5 units, and you bought this just before all the craziness in the world. Now, $2,000 times 5 units is 10 grand a month. 10 grand a month times 12 months in a year is $120,000 per year in gross scheduled income. GSI. It's a really good formula. Everything I'm going to teach you right now is a really good formula for you to understand property values, and this is what the smart investors are using. Now then you look at the NOI, which is your net operating income, which factors in for repairs, property taxes, ongoing maintenance, a water bill, any expenses that the landlord's responsible for. Now with a 5-unit building, this could be maybe 35% of the gross scheduled income. So you just simply reduce from the gross scheduled income minus 35%, and this will give you a net income of $78,000. Now a median cap rate, which a cap rate is a capitalization rate, it basically tells the landlord or the investor what type of return they'd receive if they paid all cash for the deal. What's normal in LA, let's just say for easy math, is 5%. So 5%, you simply just do the $78,000 divided by 0.05, gives you a valuation of $1,560,000. Really simple. Just a little three-step process to give you that number. Now, what makes a really smart investor is an investor looking at a property where there's something at that deal that they can either increase the rents or add units, or they can do something to really increase the value of that property, so then they can do a cash out refinance and put more debt on the property and take their money out. It's really easy. Now, what's crazy though is when you look at a 35% reduction in rents, and then you see how much value is lost to the state. Like, it's insane. 35% from your $2,000 per month brings your monthly rent to $1,300 per door. $1,300 times 5 units is $6,500. Now, $6,500 times 12 months in a year brings it to $78,000 per year in gross scheduled income. Then you factor in again for that 35% expense. It brings your net income to $50,700. $50,700 divided by 0.05 gives you a valuation of $1,014,000. The difference between the two, before this shutdown and now, it's a loss of property value of $546,000, over $500,000 in losses so far. The number's growing by the day. And what's the difference in property taxes? Well, before the property taxes were $19,500 because it's 1.25% of the property's value. So $19,500. Now what's the value is now the property taxes are $12,675. That's $6,800 in losses just in that one deal. Just in that one deal from when the property sold to now is $6,850, $6,825 in just losses so far. But what's even crazier is that both of those scenarios that I issued to you, one with a $2,000 monthly rent and the other with a $1,300 monthly, is that doesn't factor in for people not paying. And that is a good chunk of people in California right now, as people are spending roughly about 50% of their overall gross income on rent. According to Fox News, there's several million people in California that would otherwise be evicted if it was not for extending this. Several million. The population's a little over 40 million people. So several million people could likely be up for eviction if they didn't extend this. What does that do to all the landlords? Most people think that landlords are these big private equity firms. No, for the most part, they're mom and pop investors that own one property or two properties. And now these people now aren't just losing out on rent, but they're also losing out on the ability for them to run their own business. And that business is what afforded them the opportunity for them to buy their first property or second property. And now they're losing the business and losing the income. Horrible place to be. But that's what happens in the state of California, where now these politicians, especially Gavin Newsom, are rolling out these draconian laws and rules to set up and establish himself as a dominant leader and to essentially bankrupt all of these poor landlords. It's a really, really big problem. And I think we're going to see a tsunami of evictions coming probably starting August 2021 in California, maybe a little bit before that. But 2022, 2023, it's going to get really bad. I think rents are going to plummet probably another 20, 30% from here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a loss in rents by 50% throughout California. A lot of people will say that's a really good thing. It's too expensive to live in California. And I fully agree. It is expensive to live in California. But it's a very bad thing if the state of California owns a lot of the property. Because if they own the property, they own the people. Now, what's going to be crazy is how this translates over the entire state as rents continue to plummet and drop. There's going to be less funding. The city, the state, everything is going to just get scarier and dirtier and less desirable. And the people that can afford to leave are going to be leaving. Right now, investors are asking themselves, how low can rents go? How bad can things get? But as people are realizing, things are going to get really, really bad. And the only way to really get this back on track is to bring somebody in like a Ron DeSantis to California. So if he has a relative or he has any good friends that have similar visions, that we should try to bring one of those guys over here or girls over here to California with some common sense. Because you look at these losses, it's going to get bad. You know, most people that buy property, they buy anything below 4 units, you can buy with 20 or 25% down or even less. With a 5 unit and above, they generally put 30% or 40% down. So they have a lot of debt on these properties. They can't weather a storm where they're forced to reduce rents 35%. And now there's a option for them not to pay rent. So many people are seeing this as an opportunity to save money, not pay rent, and stack as much capital as possible. So in a market crash, they can run out and buy their first property, buy their first deal, because the landlord is basically forced to issue a zero interest, non-collateralized loan that really tenants aren't going to be forced to pay back. So it's a really bad situation. But again, this all works out so well for Gavin Newsom, for what he wants to do to this state. And I really honestly can't believe it. It's really unfortunate for me because I love California. I've always wanted to stay in California. I had no intention of leaving California. But seeing what's happening, is that anyone with common sense right now is looking at the amount of risk that's in the market. You're never factoring in on your investment on politics but you are factoring in risk. And with certain politicians, you take on more risk. In New York, you take on a lot of risk. California, a lot of risk. But certain places in Texas and Nevada and Florida and these other locations, you can invest more freely and you have more freedom to express yourself in your deals and you have more rights over your properties. California's going to get bad though. It's really going to get bad. So please help me recall Gavin Newsom simply by just hitting that like button. When you hit that like button, YouTube is going to share that content. When they share the content, more people will participate in recalling Gavin Newsom. And consider subscribing for more educational content on real estate, business, and current events. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video.